Meeting of Louisa County Planning Commission to order. Ms. Johnson, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Barlow? Yes. Mr. Brooks? Mr. Painting?
Here.
Mr. Disasway?
Here.
Mr. Dickerson?
Here.
Mr. Rawls?
Here.
Mr. Goodwin?
Here.
Mr. Kersey?
Here.
Mr. Purcell?
Thank you. Please rise while we have the invocation led by Commissioner Dickerson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Quarles.
Let us pray. Father God, thank you for establishing Louisa County. For those who came forward to perpetuate what is here now, help us to be good stewards of the human and the physical resources of the county so we leave it better than we found it for future generations. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on with the approval of the agenda. You have the agenda before you here. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve as presented. Any comments on the agenda? Ms. Johnson, can I have a roll call vote on approval of the agenda, please?
Mr. Painting?
Yes.
Mr. Disasway?
Yes.
Mr. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Rawls?
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Kersey?
Yes.
Very good. The agenda is approved. We'll move on to approval of the Planning Commission meetings from the regular, the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting from the regular meeting on May 8th, found on pages 2 through 5 in the packet. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments on the minutes as presented? Very well, Ms. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Quarles.
I'm going to abstain from that because I was absent.
Understand. Abstain because you were absent.
Yeah.
Ms. Johnson, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Painting?
Yes.
Mr. Disasway?
Yes.
Mr. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Rawls?
Abstain.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Kersey?
Yes.
Very well. The minutes of the May meeting are approved. Move on to the consent agenda. We do not have a consent agenda for this month, so we'll move on to the public address period. The public address period is a time when the public can come forward and speak to the Planning Commission on any item that is not a public hearing tonight. So I'm going to open the public address period. The public address period is open. I have several cards here. I'm going to call names for the cards to come forward to speak. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. If you represent an organization, let me know the organization that you represent. That would give you 5 minutes to speak. So the first card I have for the public comment period is Lynn Kogel.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Lynn Kogel, and I am from the Mineral District. I want to discuss this evening a little bit about homeless shelters, and I know you have just recently, this afternoon, redefined them into humanitarian shelters. I think that's a good move. It's a little bit different and maybe puts a little different spin on things. I want to talk a little bit about where we were with the Louisa Homeless Coalition over the last few years and what is really needed in our county. Over the last 3 years, much research has been done to identify best ways to help the homeless in our county. We conducted a point-in-time study in January of 2024, according to National HUD guidelines, in an attempt to quantify the homeless situation here. We found people in cars, in tents in the woods, and other places not meant for habitation. We also found many doubling up in already overcrowded situations in homes and apartments. Our research included talking to many existing shelter coordinators in cities and rural counties throughout Virginia to find out what works and what doesn't work for processes for taking taking care of homeless people. We've put in place best practice policies to provide safety for all involved. And I commend you for what you are trying to do with the ordinance, and the things that you identified and updated this afternoon, I think, are very good. Most of our plans incorporate and do already include most of what you suggested for the safety of our citizens and the homeless, everybody that will be involved. Our plan is simple. It's to provide dinner and a warm place for these folks to sleep at night, to prevent people from freezing to death. I know none of us want that. Just some reminders. The First Amendment of the Constitution basically says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. I know you're not Congress, but you are local government. We look to you for guidance. And I guess a question would be, why would local government want to take on liability or be overly involved in non-government activities if the churches are handling all of it and not asking for financial support from the county? If you must create a definition, I like the description humanitarian shelters. I think that's good. But you still need to take into account that could include all different types of shelters. It could be those that are the families sleeping in their neighbor's couch, the overnight warming shelters like the Homeless Coalition has proposed, and the large-scale full-day homeless shelters, which we know that would be a long way off for Louisa. Charlottesville and Richmond have them. That's not what we're looking to do. We're looking for a very simple process to help people as soon as possible. So all of those things require different oversight, and I think as you move forward with the ordinance, it's important to remember how we're defining it. And maybe these warming shelters in churches should be a separate little piece, maybe an exemption from that ordinance. If you do feel that the only way to do this is with an ordinance and requiring the CUP process, I would ask a couple of things. One would be, because the CUP process is so time-consuming and so costly, that's not beneficial to churches and this group of citizens trying to help homeless people. Even if, like, I believe the way it's defined now, we'd have to have a CUP for each church. And if we have to do a CUP, I would ask that at least we make it one CUP for all churches in the county that would cover anyone who wants to offer that.
Ms. Kogel, your time is up.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes. Next up, we have Sue Frankel Street. And again, I forgot to mention, please state your name and your voting district when you come forward.
Planning Commission, my name is Sue, and Patrick Henry, too. I want to start by saying that I really didn't want to come tonight because I feel like you have made up your minds a long time ago not to do much about homelessness, and that you don't actually have the obligation to help the least of these. But I got a phone call this afternoon at 2 o'clock from a disabled 54-year-old lifelong resident of Louisa who was homeless. And he told me that he got my number from the Louisa County Social Services, so I guess I'm supposed to be here. But the draft that I was looking at, and the reason why this hearing is being held and why we're all here, I just find extremely disappointing at best. The first requirement basically makes it illegal to build a homeless shelter, which I've been asking for years because I get these phone calls. So that's right there, kind of says it all. You're not going to build a homeless shelter. Now we have to jump through a bunch of hoops to house people. And if we actually get it together to build something, it's not going to be permitted. Requirements 3 through 5, yes, those are reasonable, and we already do them. But now we need permission, and we have no guarantee that you're going to give us permission, especially if people have to get CUPs. We don't even know if that's going to be finished by the time people start getting cold. Requirement 8, community impact statement. Maybe this is where the metal meets the road. We have to explain how we're going to be impacting surrounding properties. I call it the property value requirement. How are we impacting the people right now when we have nothing to give them? Oh, and the EMS services. You don't want us to cost EMS any extra money by housing people. I don't even know what to say about that. It's got to be more expensive if people freeze to death. Finally, a good neighbors policy. We have to have a plan in place to take complaints. And where is Mark, who I talked to today, and the 2 other people that I talked to last week? Where are they supposed to go to complain? That's what I want to know. So I am begging you, please don't do this. I know you're not going to house homeless people. We all know that. And we're actually, at this point, resigned to that. But just let us do it to the best of our very limited ability. And we don't have time to go through all these CUP hearings because currently we have to make money so we can pay $100 a night to house homeless people at the Loyalty Inn because that's all there is. So please don't even think about us. Just do nothing. And if it's illegal to house homeless people, you better just start arresting us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Bill Street.
Hi, my name is William Strite. I'm from the Patrick Henry District. You've already heard from my better half, my wife, Sue. I don't think I'll need that much time, although I'm a part of Yanceyville Church. I've been privileged to have been asked to preach there numerous times. I'll try not to preach now. But I was a part of sheltering homeless people last winter. It worked out great. It was a privilege. You know, as Scripture says, what we do to the least of those, we do to Jesus. So we were sheltering Christ. And we did it for a week, and it was simple. Other people from around the area who weren't even involved in church, seeing the genuineness of what we were doing, brought food, they brought clothing, they brought drinks. Very supportive of the people around the area who aren't even involved with the church. So we don't need government laws or state laws to tell us how to do the works of mercy. Feeding the hungry, sheltering the homeless is church work. Please don't stand in the way of the churches. Let the churches be churches. Don't make a bunch of laws that people have to jump through hoops. It's very simple. If you're not going to take care of our fellow human beings, let the churches do it, because that's what we're about. So, just an ending. You know, when the early apostles went before their planning commission called the Sanhedrin, you know, when the Sanhedrin stood in the way of them, they told them better to obey God rather than men. And since you have in God we trust there and start with a prayer, Louisa would be a much better place, as we prayed for, if we were humane and welcoming and human, taking care of our fellow human being. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Christina Marshall.
I'm Christina Marshall. I believe I'm in Patrick Henry 1. I was a missionary the last 32 years in Ecuador for indigenous tribes. Last year, I returned to Louisa after having been gone for half of my life. I returned under circumstances I did not expect to return. The country that I was ministering to suddenly had drug cartels come in, and we had to leave. I brought my husband and my son with me. We came back to Louisa, where we have a small piece of property, but we do not yet have a home. This winter, my husband and stepson, who are Amazonian indigenous people, have never seen cold, never seen snow. They've never experienced low temperatures. We got a winter. This winter, when the temperatures were so low that we were unable to maintain our own heat systems, Yanceyville Church helped us. We slept at Yanceyville Church to be warm, to be saved, to have some food. Not only did we do that, but my husband began staying there every night, as in his country he's trained to help elderly people and trained to help homeless people, help them find their way. This is what he did. So he began staying every night just to make sure that these people, whom in his tribe would be considered respected elders, neighbors, friends, to make sure that nobody had to be on the street and be cold. We ran carpools at 6 in the morning and carpools at 6 in the evening to get people off the streets. We picked up a 63-year-old man who is a lifetime resident of Louisa, homeless, from a camp where he had a car with no windows that he was sleeping in, and brought him in every night, gave him a blanket and a pillow and a cot, gave him some hot coffee for breakfast and some warm food in the evening that kind neighbors brought in. Took care of him. This is what churches do. I've been a missionary and a church person my whole life. I cannot imagine that Louisa County wants to relegate and make regulations on how the churches reach out to the least of us. And I would declare myself the least of us. This last winter, without those shelters, my family would have suffered terribly. That saved us when temperatures were well below freezing. I'm not an unreasonable person. I'm not looking for homeless shelters, not looking for daytime things, but I do believe that if a church decides that they want to help those people who are sleeping on the street or who do not have adequate heat in their homes, if they want to open their doors and warm them, I cannot imagine any government body trying to stop that or regulate that. It is inappropriate. It is the mission of the church to show mercy and to help the least of us. I saw that you all would be discussing homeless shelters. Homeless shelters would be great. We need them everywhere. But Louisa more needs just a simple warming shelter when emergency temperatures are below 40 degrees.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Dwayne Surgent. And Mr. Surgeon, I have attached to your request the email that you sent. That is made a part of the meeting record.
Okay, great. My name is Dwayne Surgeon. I live in the Mineral District, and I'm representing the Louisa Homeless Commission. So I might take 5 minutes.
Very good.
So you've heard pretty eloquently from a different variety of people about this whole issue. And I was here for your work session. Frankly, I left very disappointed. I do appreciate the effort to make some changes since the original version came out. However, I'm hearing from the commission you want citizen input, and yet I don't see you listening to it or changing anything as a result. Now, maybe those changes came as a result, and that's okay. It's not fine, though. So you had a planning meeting, and I thought a lot of times when you do things like this, you involve citizens or people that are involved with it, and not to my knowledge, no one on the coalition was contacted to participate in looking at this and making suggestions for revisions. So I was disappointed even here. I didn't even know you had that meeting on Tuesday with whatever commissioners and staff participated, but I don't know why citizens or people who are involved in this issue couldn't have been included. So what I want to say to you is to, with in mind what's been stated in front of you, to ask yourself a few questions. And I'm going to reiterate a couple things. These warming shelters we're proposing would only operate from November through March of the year. They would only serve Louisa citizens between the hours of 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. The warming shelters would have a maximum capacity of 20 citizens. Your ordinance is for a much bigger issue, a much bigger thing. That's not what we're looking for, asking for at this point. The warming shelters would be hosted by churches in Louisa County. and the warming shelters would work with law enforcement to make them aware of where the shelters are being hosted. So if there are any concerns, which our parent organization in Charlottesville has operated the same protocol that we're looking to do, which is rotating from churches to churches for 1 to 2 weeks at a time at each church. In 20 years, they've only had one incident that involves some issues with law enforcement. So I want you to consider a couple of questions for the commission and the county government, county board of supervisors as a whole. Does Louisa County want to be known for supporting a novel idea of partnerships between churches and community organizations to help the most desperate in our county without additional burden on county services? Or does Louisa County want to give the appearance of making it difficult for churches to accomplish their mission of helping those in need by sheltering them from the cold, i.e. requiring a CUP for the churches? That could be 20 CUPs if 20 churches participated. It looks like a little extra work for staff in the county to me and the commission to review each of them. Does Louisa County want to fine religious organizations or clergy for performing the church's mission to provide warm, safe shelter during the cold months of the year without county approval? Wouldn't this requirement add to the workload of county staff? Doesn't having a safe designated place to stay at night rather than vehicles or tents throughout the county make less of a burden to law enforcement to police these people? And does Louisa County want to insert itself into churches accomplishing the mission of outreach in the community? So I would remind you again to think about the Constitution and the protection and separation of church and state, the religious freedom to accomplish your church's mission without interference or without regulation that's unnecessary by the governing agency in that area. Why would the local government want to assume liability by getting involved in non-governmental religious activities? I'm very puzzled by that. And from the county we're in, and we know the political leanings here, I'm frankly surprised you aren't more supportive of this effort. So, the definition, again, this has been said earlier, you are creating a situation where there's all kinds of potential requirements kicking in for people who want to take people in to help them in their own homes or anywhere. So, I submit to you that the commission needs to revise the ordinance and add a provision that exempts churches from doing what we're trying to do. And there's the list of things I just gave you of the criteria of the 5 things that would qualify churches for an exemption to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. These are all the cards I have. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please come forward.
Mary Kranz, Mountain Road Voting District. I know you all have been working really hard on this, and I know that being on the Planning Commission can be a thankless task. So bad that a lot of people just don't want to do it. Thank you, seriously, for being on the Planning Commission. I also know from the people I've talked to that you've worked very hard to come up with a compromise, which on the face of it looks like the perfect compromise. Both Mr. Goodwin and Mr. Disisway have asked me, what's so bad about a CUP? Well, here's what. First, it's expensive. $3,000 to $5,000 to apply and $1,000 for the advertising. Small churches can't do that. I have heard that county staff might waive that for churches, which would be great and very considerate, but current staff might be sympathetic, but that is not an assurance that we can count on. 2, It's just not right for churches to be asking the government if they can carry out their sincere mission of helping less fortunate people. 3, small churches don't have the experience in dealing with government officials and meetings and standing in front of people and stating their case. And I'm afraid that this process in and of itself, besides the money, would make small churches say, I don't think that's something we can do. 4, this process is kind of making a mountain out of a molehill. In the case of my church, Yanceyville, we're talking about letting a few people, fewer than 6, sleep in the church on the coldest nights of the year. And we should be able to just do that without regulations and zoning and fines. 5, and this might be one of my strongest points, the process itself indulges people's fears. There's this image of homeless people as being criminals and dangerous people. I hear my friends say things like that. When we have people staying at our church, we have the opportunity to get to know them as individuals. And it's not just me getting to know them, it's our neighbors who bring food getting to know them. It's the whole church board getting to know them and hear the stories about people who you would think would be dangerous. We had this guy who spent 30 years in prison. He turned out to be very helpful when our pipes froze on that cold night.
Ma'am, your time is up.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, so different from our actual experience when we decided to break the law last winter. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Yes, come forward, please.
First, let me apologize. I thought I had registered to speak, and evidently, if there was not a card, I didn't follow the correct process. So that's
Okay.
I'm glad to learn what I did wrong for next time.
Okay.
My name is Alan Smith. I am not a resident of Louisa County. I serve as the pastor at Mechanicsville Baptist Church in the Boswell's Tavern area. So I'm here speaking on behalf of that organization, which I think allots me 5 minutes instead of 3. So thank you very much for your time. I will share briefly. I've been serving at Mechanicsville Baptist Church for a little bit more than 2 years. But prior to this, I have experience in many other cities, many other states, serving as a pastor where these types of programs have existed for years. I know it's been referenced. There's a parent program in Charlottesville I've been aware of. I've also dealt with similar programs in North Carolina. So obviously this is nothing new. And when I learned last summer of the coalition here in Louisa County interested in bringing something like this to our area, I was excited to help our church grow more involved. And yes, as you've heard from others and other communication, I do believe that simply in our religion as Christians, as followers of Christ, it is my belief as the pastor of our church that faith is not just something we do by sitting in our pews on Sunday morning. It is something we literally practice 24/7. And yes, I do believe that we are called to care for those in need in our communities, to do what, as I would say, to help bring the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. And so I do consider what we do to care for the poor, or in this case, the homeless, to be actually part of what it is to practice our religion. And so, as others have said, I do consider our opportunity to respond and meet the needs of others to be a part of practicing our religion. Recently, we had a project at our church where a local gas pipeline company asked to do some community service for us. And as a part of that, I didn't do it. I'm not one to look for headlines, but some from our church invited the local paper to come do some interviews with us and with the pipeline company to do a story about it. I only reference this because one of the lines that I use often that actually became a quote in the paper is that our church property is not an asset to be protected. It is a resource to be shared. And I think anything we can do as a church to find ways that we can help serve others in the community is our calling. Now, let me say, I'm not dumb. I have no doubt that you are getting all kinds of feedback, all kinds of comments, all kinds of communication about topics like this from all angles. I have no doubt that when there's language in things like what I've read about the proposed CUP policy, I'm not going to use the correct term for it, but what I've seen that you've been discussing, I have no doubt that there are people that frankly are worried about the homeless maybe being in their neighborhood or staying overnight in a church. But like many have said, personally, I feel it's much more organized for churches to provide this housing rather than for people to be in yards or in woods. I don't mean roaming around, but at least there's some organization to it. And I also feel like churches are just trying to help. Now, I would love it, as others have said, if we could have homeless shelters in all over the world, but in Louisa County where we serve. And I would love if there was such a shelter for our church to be a part of doing whatever we could to help that be supportive towards people no longer needing to live in a homeless situation. However, if that's not the case, the first thing we can do is help people meet their basic need. Food, shelter, a safe and warm and dry place to stay, especially on cold nights into winter. And frankly, reading language in what's been, at least I'll say proposed at this point, I know nothing's gone in final, that suggests that even if churches were to go through this CUP process, that the Planning Commission or whoever would manage that process could even begin to impose other things on churches is troubling to me. I think we as a church are at least in our church, I'll admit, we did not participate this past winter. We have been discussing it as a church. We are interested in moving forward by the time we as a church and our leadership were involved having those discussions. It was through the winter season, so we are just looking forward to staying involved for next year. But we have had extensive discussions as church leadership about how we can make sure this is safe both for individuals, obviously a small number, it's typically been I think less than 5 for the most part throughout this winter, who stay in our church, and also for our church and the activities and things in our building if we need to have access, obviously supervision, things like that. So as you've heard, I would add my voice to so many, which is to say, to me, this feels unnecessary and in fact infringing on some of our ways of practicing our beliefs and what it means to be church. I'm glad to answer any questions. I don't know how this completely works, but I understand that my time for the most part is up. So I do appreciate your attention this evening.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak tonight?
Hi, my name is Pamela Bickley, and I'm a community health worker, and I work around the region, and I work with Louisa, and I worked with help forming the warming shelters and going to them and listening to their stories. And I can tell you, because I do it from the back end to the front end, and if with all the cuts now with the 80% with HIV and all of that, that's good. And a lot of cuts with some, like going to methadone clinics and everything, there's going to be more people on our streets, okay? And you can't get somebody clean if they don't have a warm bed. And I worked on a program for 4 years at the university, and you know, if you we brought them in, we put them in a hotel, a nice hotel that had breakfast and dinner for them, and you know, out of that 20 gang, we have 8 today that are still drug free. Some of them have been on cocaine since they were 10 years old. And so, but that's called the 101 housing, and if you don't have a warm bed, they're not able to even try to start to understand their depression or their trauma or what they've have been through. And if these churches are going to, you know, offer their warming shelter, that's the first block of having a shelter one day and proceeding, you know, because some of the laws, why we brought it up in a hotel, is that we were having a hard time renting an apartment complex. And so we did it through the hotel. But if they have a warm bed at night and have structured counselors to see the next day or, time to meet, you're going to see more of them willing to participate and stay clean, not go back to jail, not go back to prison, because that's not drug rehab. And just give these churches and what we know with our faith a good to be able to supply this shelter to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak tonight? Very well, then I will mention that I also have an email from David McWilliams that will be entered into the record for the meeting also. And with that, I'm going to close the public address period. The public address period's closed. And we'll move on to the next item, which is unfinished business. And under unfinished business, I would like to request Commissioner Goodwin, if you could restate your motion from the work session, please, so that we can put this on the record.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As a result of our discussion during the work session, I move that we place the business of the definition and conditions of a humanitarian shelter, along with the accompanying zoning matrix changes, on the agenda for the July meeting. I also move that we vacate, put on the July meeting for a public hearing, the topic of vacating the definition of emergency shelters.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Very well, Ms. Johnson, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Painting,
Yes.
Mr. Discosway,
Yes.
Mr. Dickerson,
Yes.
Mr. Qualls,
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Kersing.
Yes.
That motion carries. We'll move on now to the public hearings. First item up is CUP 2025-01, Louisa Properties, LR 2.5 LLC, and others. Ms. Polychromes.
Hello. All right. So I'm recently married, so now I'm Mrs. Casamano. So I'll shoot a little name change there for you.
You're just making it hard on me now.
I know, I had to go from one Mediterranean name to another.
Very good, thank you.
All right, so good
Congratulations.
evening, Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Kayla Casamano, and I'm an associate planner with Louisa County Community Development. Before you tonight is a conditional use permit request for an equipment sales and rental operation and a contractor's office and shop requested by Mr. James Weber, owner of Louisa Properties LR 1.5 and LR 2.5 LLC. The property is made up of 2 parcels located on the north side of Louisa Road, Route 22, directly west of the intersection of Oakland Road, Route 613, in the Louisa district, and is made up of 4.0812 acres, zone commercial C2, designated rural. These 2 parcels have been zone commercial C2 since zoning districts were created in 1969. So currently, the subject property, tax map 24-45, there is 1 vacant single-family dwelling, and historically, tax map 2446 was used for storage and resale of secondhand items and antiques. There is an existing structure on the property that is shown here that is proposed to remain to support the proposed use for contractor's office and shop. The surrounding parcels are utilized as an appliance store, a lumber store across the road, shown on the right on the image on the screen, and the historic Trevilian Battlefield Station on the left, just across from the railroad tracks. The parcel adjoining the property to the west, or behind me in these photos, would be the Trevilian Refuse Site. The applicant's concept plan proposes an additional 4,000 square foot structure to be constructed to support the proposed use of equipment sales and rental. The building is planned to be served by a new commercial entrance off of Route 33. The existing entrance at the eastern portion of the property is planned to remain. The site will have on-site parking to support proposed uses and to allow for outdoor storage of equipment. The site is designed to have multiple gravel outdoor storage areas as indicated by the green stars on the screen. The applicant is present tonight to give additional information on the concept plan as needed. Staff believes that this business would provide essential goods and services and support to the surrounding area by providing essential equipment to farmers, homeowners, commercial contractors, and would address the current challenge of diminishing support systems for agricultural supplies, as stated on the screen and shown on the 2040 comprehensive plan. Both the applicant and staff believe that the impact of these conditioned uses would be minimal to Louisa County public facilities. Further detail on this can be found on page 10 of your packet. The neighborhood meeting held on March 12th only had one neighbor in attendance who expressed concern about the importance of maintaining the existing vegetative buffer between the historic Trevilian Station battlefield at the rear of the property. Those concerns have been addressed by recommended conditions number 5 and number 6 on page 12 of your packet. So this concludes my portion of the presentation. The applicant is present tonight. They do have a brief presentation to give, and I stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for staff at this time?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Goodwin?
packet page 7 refers to a waiver for setbacks. I understand that is not part of our discussion or consideration tonight.
No, sir.
Okay. Packet page 12, referring to paragraph 6, buffers. It's not really a fair question for you, but I'm wondering when, we've had several discussions about changing the application process whereby the applicant submits a landscape plan for approval. When can we expect the language in the application to change? It's been on our agenda now, at least discussion agenda, for, I'd say, close to a year. And yet we're still involved in trying to do landscape planning and community development.
I will refer to the zoning administrator on that one.
I said it was not a fair question for you.
Linda, go on up.
Yes, Mr. Goodwin. Those amendments were part of the Phase 3 amendments that went to public hearing with the Board of Supervisors at the June 2nd meeting. Let me get my date right. And they were tabled and will be back on the board's agenda for further discussion and hopefully decision on Monday, the 16th, this coming Monday.
Okay. All right, I get it. The follow-up. So it is on track, but not ready for prime time.
Correct.
Good.
We're close.
Good. And one final?
Mr. Goodwin?
Actually, I've got another one. We don't have any reference in the conditions to any architectural expectations. Other things, we refer to whatever's in place. We say section da-da-da-da-da. Covers its information, but we don't see anything about architectural requirements or references to them in this particular application.
Not for this one because it is outside of a growth area. We don't have anything in our code for an architectural rendering requirement like you would if it was in a growth area for earth tones or whatnot. But if that's a condition that you want to bring up, the applicant's willing to discuss it.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up on that one, I'm not prepared to discuss it tonight. I was prepared to wonder about it. I mean, because it's pretty much wide open of what you can build. Okay, that's a comment. Last thing, back in page 24. This is not your work, this is the work of Shimp Engineering, and it says, under project proposal, line 3 and 4, the owner requests 2 conditional use permits. One for a contractor's office and shop, one for equipment sales and rental. Is he mistaken, and we can take care of this in one CUP?
It's for both uses for both parcels.
I'm just reading what he says. The owner is requesting 2 CUPs, one for the contractor's office and shop, one for equipment sales and rental. But we only have one.
We can, we can do it on the same one.
I was just going to say, historically, we have allowed multiple uses under one conditional use permit with one set of conditions. We could defer to the county attorney if there are any legal questions about that processing, but historically, we have allowed multiple uses to be processed through one
So
one
you
conditional use.
combined his concern or his application
Correct.
into one. Okay, I just want to make sure that we didn't have a disconnect there.
Right, yes.
Because-
No, it's a good
Okay,
question.
thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Certainly. Very well, then. I'm going to open the public comment period. All right? Public comment period is open, as is our custom. The first speaker during the public comment period is the applicant, who will have 10 minutes to make the presentation, and then we'll move to the public part of the public comment period.
Awesome. Thanks, Kayla. Good evening, Chair, just this way, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Kelsey Schlein. I'm a planner with Shimp Engineering. I'm here tonight representing Louisa Properties LR 2.5 LLC and Louisa Properties LR 1.5 LLC. The applicant, Mr. Jim Weber, and his wife Dawn are also in attendance tonight, and so available for any questions that you might have. Thank you, Kayla and Tom, for all your work on this application. I think that, we've, in working with staff, have a good application and proposal that we hope we can get your support on tonight. Mr. Weber operates, he has a segmental wall, retaining wall business operating out of Northern Virginia. He acquired this property and intends to use it for contractors' office and shop and for rental sales and equipment, likely to something that you might see from like a Sunbelt Rentals or a similar type of user on the property. So Kayla kind of already, went over the site, and I'm sure you all are familiar with it. But in the Trevilians area, which this portion of Trevilians has a mixture of uses of industrial, commercial, and it's this kind of cluster of business activity largely surrounded by agricultural uses. And so we feel that, this is an ideal location. The site distance along the front of the property to get vehicles in and out safely is excellent. The location, just kind of being 8 minutes from the town of Louisa, is very ideal. Also, it being clustered around other commercial users is really ideal and supportive for these type of users. And so, summary of the request. So we're requesting conditional use permit for contractor's office and shop and equipment sales and rental. The existing structure on the property is proposed to remain. If you've driven by recently, Mr. Weber is already trying to, clean up the property a little bit by refacing the existing building. A new 4,000 square foot building is proposed in the northwest property corner. And as you all discussed, an administrative waiver for a setback reduction is being pursued concurrently that we'll be working through with staff. As you can see with our concept plan, we're dealing with a very long and narrow parcel. And so given the setback requirements in this area, we're needing to pursue the 20% reduction and we'll work through that with staff if this application hopefully continues to move forward. I also just want to, note all the, as Kayla did, just the consistencies with the comprehensive plan, with the application. This type of user is kind of really supportive of the agricultural economy. Obviously is going to grow the business tax base in Louisa and contribute to making a property that has not been maybe as productive to the business community as it could be in recent years, kind of give it new life. And actually just gonna go on to discussion. That's perfect, thank you. So that is all that I have for you at the moment. Any questions I'd be happy to take.
Let's get through the public address part and then we'll come back for questions.
Okay, wonderful, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Would anyone like to come forward and speak on this particular CUP? Very well. Come forward. Please state your name and your voting district.
Jim Weber, and I live in Prince William County, so I guess I really can't vote here. But I don't know if you remember the site before I bought it. I mean, I didn't really know what I was getting into. Cleaning it up, if you guys remember, it was junk everywhere. It probably took me 25 dumpsters to get the stuff out of there. I think we made a big improvement just from getting that trash out of there. Finally, we've got someone that would take that bus. But my long-term plan is to get this place looking good. Like I said, I'm just putting all new metal on it. That should be done in about 3 weeks. So we took off all that old metal, put on new metal. It's going to be like a charcoal gray or light gray with charcoal wainscoting halfway up. It's going to look good. It's going to make that whole area different looking. And my company, we do pavers. So in the little parking area, I'll put interlocking pavers on the sides. It's going to make it look a lot nicer. Also, we build retaining walls. Well, Louisa has a lot of retaining walls coming. That's kind of why I wanted to put that 4,000 square foot building, because we are going to be bidding a lot of the retaining walls in this area. So it would help us out, a lot to be this close to Louisa. And there are a lot of good workers in Louisa that I've met since fixing up the building. They come along and I'm amazed at how hard of workers they are. I could probably utilize some of them, which I would have never thought, but they're actually really hard workers here. As far as plantings, everything I buy, I make look nice. I mean, I buy a lot in Front Royal, and if you went there, I bought places like that, turned them into like 8-unit apartments, dressed it all up, worked with the county. I had the parking, it used to be on 55. I reversed it and had everybody so they had to go through the back. So I work with the county. If you guys really wanted something, we'll do it. But I really think it would help you guys too, because it wouldn't be such an eyesore like it is right now. And that's, I guess, all I have to say.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Very well, then the last speaker is always the applicant who can address anything that they've heard during the time. And since we didn't hear from anyone else, then I'll just close public comment period on this, and we'll bring this back to the commission for discussion.
Question for the applicant.
Mr. Goodwin.
Chair. Question for the applicant. I thought you were.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Talk to me about the need for a second entrance. We have one there that's been used. Why do we need a new entrance on 33, which is a major thoroughfare?
Sure. So it has to do just kind of with a safe circulation in the site, since we are dealing with such a narrow site. If there are bigger vehicles coming and going, if we don't have this second connection point, that makes it much easier for larger vehicles to come in one entrance, circulate through the site, exit through the other entrance, rather than making a 10-point turn in the middle of the property. So we feel that second entrance is really important, and obviously we'll have to comply with all VDOT standards to be able to get that second entrance approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, question.
Mr. Dickerson.
The proposed new entrance, there seems to be a temporary gravel entrance there now. How close to that gravel entrance is the new proposed entrance?
The new entrance to meet site distance requirements is likely going to have to shift to the east about 100 feet or so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from the commission? Very well, hearing none, the chair would be looking for a motion. Mr. Kersey.
Mr. Chairman, I had an opportunity to talk to the applicant. I think we will have a good product put together on this site. I would move that this be approved with the conditions, the 8 laid out by the county staff.
Have a motion to approve CUP 2025-01 with conditions stated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Very well. Ms. Johnson, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Painting?
Yes.
Mr. Dissisway?
Yes.
Mr. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Pauls?
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Kersey?
Yes.
Very good. CUP 2025-01 is recommended for approval. Move on now to CUP 2025-03 Builders Cabinet Company. And oh my, I've got to write the name down because I can't remember.
It's on the screen. I got it on the screen for you.
Miss Casamano.
Perfect.
Yeah, great. I can't keep up.
All right. So good evening again, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Kayla Cosimano, and I'm an associate planner with Louisa County Community Development. Before you tonight is a conditional use permit request for a custom manufacturing use of cabinets and countertops in a contractor's office and shop, requested by Mr. Joey Bryant, owner of Builders Cabinet Company. The property is located on the east side of Belmead Road, Route 701 in the Jackson District, and is made up of 6.09 acres, zoned agricultural A2, designated rural. This application was initially for a home occupation, Class A, as a secondary use to the applicant's primary residence next door. However, after further concept design, the applicant felt the carpentry workshop would work better on the adjacent parcel that he owns, thus prompting the requirement for a conditional use permit. The applicant currently operates his business in Richmond, Virginia. Builders Cabinet Company offers custom cabinetry and countertops for purchase and installation. Example of Mr. Bryant's work that is proposed to be manufactured on site can be found on page 76 of your staff report. The applicant is proposing business operations take place inside a 4,800 square foot building, about 650 feet more or less set back off of Belmead Road, as indicated by the star on the screen. Mr. Bryant anticipates leaving existing vegetative buffer less necessary for clearing of the building. While the subject property is designated rural area outside of a growth area, staff believes that the business would provide essential goods, services, and support to the surrounding area, which is mostly agricultural and neighborhood oriented. Staff believes the proposed use would not impact the rural character of the area, as the applicant will have little to no traffic to the site, as his business is delivery-based. The recommended conditions number 1, 2, 5, and 6 on page 58 and 59 of your staff report address maintaining rural character, and recommended condition number 4 will require an administrative site plan to ensure that development standards set by the code are met. Both the applicant and staff believe that the impact of these conditional uses, custom manufacturing for cabinet and carpentry, and contractor's office and shop, would be minimal to Louisa County public facilities. Further detail can be found on page 57 of your staff report. The neighborhood meeting held on May 21st had no neighbors in attendance, and staff has not received any calls regarding the zoning action. So this concludes my presentation. The applicant, Mr. Bryant, is present tonight to speak, and I stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for the staff at this time? Very well, then we'll move on to the public address period.
Okay.
Public address or public comment period is open, and the first speaker in the public comment period is the applicant. Please come forward, and you'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Hopefully that's 8 more than I need. Basically, we're just going to create a workshop on the property. Our shop, we've been in business in Richmond I've been doing it for about 40 or 50 years. I've been around it 50 years. I'm going to live in it for 40. My son, who currently lives near on this similar property, is following in my footsteps, but against my recommendations, as I did with my father. But anyway, that's what we're just trying to do. We do a lot of assembly work, and we do custom work as well. And so the shop would be there for that. We don't have most of the one concern I had heard was a lot of people coming to the shop, and most of our work is actually done, presentations, designs, and stuff like that are done usually at the people's homes, that we would be dealing with. So it wouldn't be a lot of, increased traffic on Bellmead with people coming to the shop. And basically, we serve commercial and residential, small commercial work and residential work. So it could be a benefit, to the county to have a local shop around. That's all I've got, unless you guys have some questions for me.
Let's continue with public comment first before we get back to that. Thank you, sir. Would anyone like to step forward and speak on this application? Very well, then, seeing none, with no need for the applicant to speak about what he's heard, since there won't be anything to hear, we're going to close the public comment period. So public comment period is closed, and we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. Any comments or discussion items from the commission? Very well. Then, hearing none, Mr. Painting, the chair, would be looking for a motion on this.
Very well. Thank you, sir. I met with Ms. Bryan on his property, and the proposed shop is over 600 feet from Bellmead Road. It's completely enveloped in a mature forest. It's would be advantageous to the community to have his skill set in that area. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit number 2025-03 for Mr. Bryant to operate a custom manufacturing and contractor's office and shop with the 8 conditions recommended by staff.
Second.
Motion and second to recommend CUP 2025-03 for approval. Any further comment on this? Very well. Ms. Johnson, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Painting?
Yes.
Mr. Disasway?
Yes.
Mr. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Quarles?
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Kersey?
Yes.
Very well. The CUP is recommended for approval. And we'll move on now to CUP 2025-04. Ms. Casamanos.
You got it. You got it.
Getting better. I'm
See?
getting better.
I just have to do 3 cases back to back.
It's good for us to learn the new names away.
Yeah, yeah. July's going to be another month, though, I'm afraid.
All right, so good evening, Chairman and members of Planning Commission. My name is Kayla Casamano, and I am an Associate Planner with Louisa County Community Development. Before you tonight is a conditional use permit request for a utility service major for a natural gas unloading station requested by Columbia Gas Transmission LLC and Vanguard Renewables LLC. The property is in the southeastern quadrant of the intersection of Brickhouse Road, Route 637, and Poindexter Road, Route 613, in the Patrick Henry District. And it is 5.6 acres zoned agricultural A2, designated as rural. It is important to note that the parcel is adjacent to the Green Springs Historic District. Currently, on the adjacent parcel, tax map 3745, there is an operating compressor station that is owned by Columbia Gas Transmission LLC. In 2017, a conditional use permit was granted by the Board of Supervisors to expand that compressor station with 19 conditions that are listed on pages 266 and 267 of your packet. On the screen, you will see the current landscape of the area. The yellow star indicates the view facing east on Brickhouse Road. Clearing for the existing pipeline is on the right of that photo, and Quaker Hill Farm is on the left of that photo. The blue star indicates the existing entrance to the existing facility and captures the line of sight facing west on Brickhouse Road. The applicants are proposing a new facility and an additional entrance to be placed between the 2 stars on tax map 37-44. The applicant's narrative proposes an unmanned offloading facility for renewable natural gas to be transported to and injected into the pipeline twice a day, 7 days a week, for the purpose of transmitting gas throughout the region. The developed area of the site is proposed to be just under an acre. The concept plan, as shown on the screen and printed out separately for you, measures the front setbacks off of Brickhouse Road at 48 feet with the existing vegetation and proposed additional landscaping of double staggered rows of 8-foot evergreen trees to be added between the driveway and the facility. Using the GIS, we've measured existing vegetation between the existing clearing where the pipeline is and the adjacent parcel at 140 feet more or less. A couple of hours ago, the applicants submitted an additional concept plan to staff that is not in your packet, but has been printed out for you and is shown on the screen here. The applicants are present tonight to give additional information on this concept plan and operations as needed. Both the applicant and staff believe the impact of these condition uses would be minimal to Louisa County public facilities. Further detail of this can be found on your staff report in page 102 of your packet. The neighborhood meeting held on May 21st had 4 neighbors from the Green Springs Historic District in attendance. Staff additionally received written correspondence and calls from 4 additional neighbors who were unable to attend. The questions and concerns brought up were centered around visual screening and existing road conditions and traffic. These questions and answers from the applicants can be found on page 83 of your packet. Staff would like to clarify a statement made by the applicant at the meeting where they advised neighbors that they would have to, quote, go through the entire CUP process again if there were to be future expansion. If this CUP request were to be approved, the use would be for the entire parcel. If there were to be future expansion of this site, a public hearing would not be required unless an additional use not permitted or covered under the scope of a major utility service is requested, or an approved condition needed amending. Future expansion would require a site plan review just by staff and/or a state agency review. This concludes my presentation. The applicant is present tonight. They have prepared a presentation as well to give you, but I do stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for staff at this time? Very well, then I'm going to open the public comment period. Public comment period is open. The first speaker is the applicant. If you would come forward, please. You'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Good evening, Chair. Good evening, Board. My name is Dario Rafizadeh. I'm from Vanguard Renewables. Kayla, how does this, is it just down? Perfect. So what we're proposing tonight is a virtual pipeline on the parcel. Basically what a virtual pipeline is, we have a dairy that we're working with in Amelia County. We're producing renewable natural gas. What we're proposing to do is bring compressed natural gas from that facility to the TCE site to inject the RNG into the transmission line. Basically how this would work is the trailers are filled up at the RNG facility in Amelia County. It'd be transported to Louisa County, and then when the truck pulls in, it would sit there for about roughly 3 hours while the trailer is unloaded. So the driver will be present while the trailer unloading is happening. When the truck's empty, the truck will leave, go back to Amelia County, get another trailer that's been filled, and bring it back. So right now we're looking at 2 trips a day for 7 days a week. The trucking route that we have currently comes down off Brick House Road. We were staying away from Poindexter Road, so we just wanted to make sure that was known. Currently, based on the new site plan that we submitted to this morning, we tried to be more conscientious of the buffer. So we added more vegetation so that you could not see this M&R station from the road. As you can see, you have a house across the street, so we tried to add more vegetation on that side to block the view of the M&R, and then the house to the right on the plan over here. Right now, the buffer is about 21 feet on that side, and you have about 24 feet on the Brick House Road side vegetation. So basically, this explains the process of how the renewable natural gas happens. So the organics are collected and centrally pumped to a truck. Therefore, they're sent from that truck to the injection station, and then they're compressed into the injection line. The partner that we partner up with from a logistics standpoint, they have one of the highest ratings in the trucking industry for hazmat. They've won numerous safety awards. Safety is a big priority of our company. Going back, let's see. The trucks are about 53 feet long as they're coming into the facility. These are just pictures of the truck. As you can see in the customized logistics logo, that's sort of, you can see the unload station in the back over there. That's what basically this station looks like as the trucks are being emptied. This talks about the safety record of the trucking company we partner with. As you can see, they have 0 recordable injuries, 0 vehicle incidents. That's one of the reasons that we propose the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. operation hours, because truck safety is a big proponent of what we're all about. And that's all I got. Any questions?
Let me get the other comments and we'll come back. Very well. Would anyone else like to speak on this? Please come forward and state your name and your voting location.
Should I hand this to you, or?
You can, Ms. Cusimano will get it. God, I'm getting it.
You're doing a great job.
Okay, perfect. My name is Abby Fosberg. I own 83 Brickhouse Road. I don't live here at the moment. I rent it currently, but the idea was to retire down into that beautiful agricultural area. My house is the house directly across from the brand new driveway. Currently, there is a pretty large wood buffer. You can't see the gas the current gas facility at all. With the new driveway, it would be completely visible. It's literally, can you put that up at all? It's literally directly across from my house. We just look into and watch the trucks go back and forth. So I think it would very negatively impact the value of my house and the feeling that the reason I bought the house. Secondly, the trucking coming down Brickhouse Road, it's a small winding road. You said you wanted to avoid Poindexter, but it seems to me it makes much more sense to come up Poindexter and take a right-hand turn at the corner, not even to get on Brickhouse Road, as opposed to having to take a left-hand turn with those big trucks on Brickhouse Road after you've been winding around. So I see numerous issues with this. And then the noise of the facility, I know there's a cap on it, and I wondered if there's any smell. No, there's no smell. No smell. Just wanted to make sure, since it is renewable. So yes, I am against this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this? Please come forward.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. My name is Lynn Sigmund. I live at 615 Brickhouse Road, roughly a quarter mile from the proposed site. I've never noticed any disruption with the current business that's there. It's never, I bought my house knowing it was there. However, with my neighbors' concerns, those big trucks on Brickhouse Road, I'm telling you guys, that's going to cause problems. It's a very windy road. It's very narrow, doesn't have a double line. The pictures of those trucks, those are 18-wheelers. I mean, it really doesn't look like a good idea to me. And honestly, that is my only real concern as far as this proposal. Okay, so I really hope you guys take a good look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Very well, then. The applicant has 5 minutes at the end here before I close to address anything he's heard from public during the comments.
Sure. As far as gas, there is no odor that comes off this facility. The trucking route, basically, we're down to Brickhouse or Poindexter, so we thought Brickhouse would be the better road to come down than Poindexter. Again, we're open to either, but we were looking at Brickhouse originally. As far as the landscaping on the house across the street, we tried to do as much as possible to add a buffer, vegetation, to hide the station as much as possible. Any questions?
That's all right. We'll get back to you. All right, very well, then. Public comment period is closed, and I'll bring it back to the commission for questions and comments. Mr. Quarles.
Mr. Chair, I guess this question is a series of questions for the applicant. We have numerous changes in this application, and I understand that there was one today. It seems to be the hours of operation have changed since we sat down and talked. You're 7 to 7 now, and then the last one was 6:30 before, wasn't it? And then you 7 days a week, where we had talked last we talked was 7 and then 6 days a week. Why the changes? Maybe you can help me with that.
So the application has always been for 7 days a week. The parcel next door is the one that is only operating 6 days a week, and that was part of our recommended conditions by staff. So the applicant is still proposing 7 days a week, 7 to 7. Staff is recommending 6 days a week, 7 to 6:30 p.m.
And you need the 7 days a week? Is that
So the reason for the 7 days is because to keep the trucks, because it's one truck that's going back and forth. So it's to keep the truck on a rotation, and patterns also help reduce accidents, incidents, things like that. Due to the staff recommendations, we'd be open to going to 6 days. The only thing that I would ask if it was possible to reconsider, maybe on Sunday we could do a shorter window just so one trailer could come in, maybe in the late afternoon. We're open to that.
That would still be 7 days.
It would be.
And you said you'd be open to what hours? Is that? the
So
adjustment
staff
hours?
recommendation is 7 to 6:30 p.m., and we would be open to that.
And Sunday's exclusion would be what?
We could be open to that too.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I was just made aware of a correction. It's 7 to 7 per condition number 4 that we're recommending. The construction is 7 to 6:30 p.m. that we're recommending.
Okay,
Sorry, I got those two mixed up.
all right. But the operation is still 7 days a week.
We would be open to the 6-day operation. As I said, it just helps logistically if we could have a smaller window on Sunday, but if that's not possible, we're open to the 6 days. We would just have to fit in another 2 trailers during that 6 days. Because if you're doing 2 trailers a day, there'd be a day or 2 where we'd have to get 3 in to make up for those 2 days.
That's all for now, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Goodwin.
I don't know how this discussion's gonna go. My preference would be if you go with one delivery on Sunday, that it be Sunday afternoon, and we're not bothering people's Sunday morning services.
I totally agree with that.
It is a very rural area of the county, and it can be disruptive. Have you looked at, is it possible to put a curve in your entrance driveway so that it blocks this Fosberg, am I correct? So it blocks her view so that it comes in on a gradual curve to get around to the back where the offload is, instead of a straight in?
We'd be open to that. As long as the truck, the swept path analysis on that could make the turn, we would be open to that.
Absolutely.
And
Can I kind of do this open style?
Sure.
Ms. Fosberg, would that satisfy you if he would have put like a curve in there as he went in?
Well, that would, I mean, I prefer that to what's now. But once you get to the problem with Brick House Road, if you're going to address that, what I would suggest, and this is a complete redesign, is making a right-hand turn off of Poindexter, never even going on the Brick House Road.
Yeah.
Which would then, then you wouldn't need that, because there's nothing across the street from that little piece of land they own right on Poindexter. So that would be my ideal, is to come in on Poindexter, avoid Brick House altogether, particularly the left-hand turn.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, follow up. So, not all of us gonna get what we want out of this. You're agreeable to working with her on the driveway entrance?
Yes.
And staff, can you all work with the two of them to come up with something that's, I'm the compromiser in this bunch.
mind if I just free walk for 1 second?
Yes.
So my question to you is, would you be open to us working with you on landscaping on your property to give yourself privacy to the facility across the street?
Yeah, but I don't think, landscaping on my property is really gonna do the trick. I mean, yes, but it,
Hold on 1 second.
I mean, we could move the driveway, if you'd be open to that.
We can
That's a
coordinate.
redesign.
Yeah, you wanna, this is our engineer, John, stand up, you wanna stand up, roll in.
Please come forward.
Chairman and members of the commission, one detail we do need to remember as we're talking about moving the driveway around is, you know, safety is paramount to the facility. We want to make sure that emergency services has proper access. The NFPA, which is the Fire Protection Association, does have standards as far as how far a fire truck is able to pull into a site, and more specifically, back out of a site. Firefighters don't like backing up too far, pretty much. So we have shown the preliminary site plan to the local fire district ahead of submitting the administrative site plan, just to make sure that they had a chance to look at it, and we're in agreement that, you know, what we're currently proposing does meet their standards. So while we are amenable to adjusting the driveway and making sure this is a solution for everybody, I do want to keep that one item visible for everybody as well.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Goodwin.
I feel pretty certain if we can get a 54-foot truck in there, we can get a fire truck in there.
I 100% agree,
I would
sir.
ask again that you and staff work together to see if we can't redesign that driveway so it's not a straight-in pipe from Ms. Fosberg's house to the business itself. If we can do that, I would really appreciate it. I had one more question for the applicant.
Mr. Goodwin.
I noticed that this is going to be monitored like full-time, 24/7 monitored?
That's correct.
I assume that's electronic monitoring?
Yes, sir.
What I don't see in here, sir, is any mention of automated emergency shutoff or fire suppression.
So the emergency shutoffs, they are in, that will be the case electronically.
So it will happen without
Yes,
without off-site interference?
that's correct.
Okay, I just didn't see it anywhere in here. But
That's all built into the electronic system.
And that's all I've got, and I really appreciate you working with Ms. Fosberg and staff on that, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tell me about we're wanting to make a left turn as opposed to a right turn, correct? The right turn would be in the from Pondexter,
Yes.
and the left turn would be.
Do you mind if I pull the plan back up just so?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So if we're looking at this plan, Poindexter is to your left,
Yep.
and so what was your question, sir?
So my question is why, I know that there's a difference in the roads. Poindexter has a double line, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the other is a much smaller road.
Yes.
Speak to me about why we're taking a tractor trailer from a double line road to a non-marked road.
So originally, when we started speaking to the county about this, the idea was to stay off Poindexter because of the historical district, and it was to come off Brick House. But we are open to either route.
Historical district versus safety? I mean, I'm kind of getting the feeling from the residents that if you're driving down Brick House, it may be a possibility that the road's not wide enough for a tractor trailer and a would-be truck or car? Is that?
I'm not a traffic expert, but I understand what you're saying.
Yes, I think it's very dangerous.
Yep.
I'm gonna pull up the photos of the current condition of the road.
Okay. Is that Poindexter?
No, that's Brick House Road.
Okay.
But that's not Brick House Road.
Where the yellow star
That
is.
is the
that
beginning of Brick House Road when it first comes from Poindexter. But that's just the first strip. And right after that, it goes up and down and around and around. And it is not, the tractor hill, or Quaker Hill is right there. When he takes his tractor down the road, there is no room for anyone to pass on either side. That is how wide the road is. Okay?
So, you're amenable to using Pondexter?
That's correct.
You vacated that because of a historical?
Because the historical district, somebody saying something? Because of the historical district.
Expound.
When we were first meeting with the county, one of the things that came up was it was suggested that it would be better to come down Brick House than it would be to come off Poindexter. So we ended up sticking to Brick House. But that would, the way the driveway's designed is the driveway can come from the left or the right. So the issue with coming off Poindexter, like right off Poindexter and not making a right onto Brick House, is you'd have to cross the pipeline that's there.
Give me 1 second. Mr. Chair, Tom, can you address?
I'm gonna have like Kayla come up,
Okay.
and I'll come up after Kayla.
All right, that's fine.
Yes, Mr. Quarles.
He's saying that staff recommended this Brick House entrance versus the Poindexter. We're taking 53-foot trailer down a non-marked road versus a double-lined state road. Why is that suggested, and why? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
We're not traffic engineers with staff. We go with what is provided on an application to us. It was always down Brick House Road. The concept plan submitted by Bowler Engineering, which is what we have been looking with until 3 p.m. this afternoon, was always off of Brick House Road. In pre-application discussions, we asked for an S-curve to be put in due to screening. The engineers in the meeting advised us that was not possible. The neighborhood meeting had several concerns about traffic down Poindexter Road, that it was not safe, that it was windy, variable speeds, active and active farm.
So you're saying that they were concerned about it being on Poindexter, which is
Yes, sir.
which is actually a better road. They'd rather it on Brick House, which is a road that's not possibly passable for 2 large vehicles.
The neighbors did not want it on Poindexter Road.
We've got 2 neighbors here now that's saying that they want it on Poindexter Road.
Because they're on Brick House Road.
Thank you. Thank you. Discussion.
Well, oh, yeah, absolutely. We're in this, I did have a question, though, for the applicant.
Question for the applicant?
So you all are in partnership with a dairy in Amelia.
That's correct.
So, and just to clarify, there is no location closer than Louisa to Amelia to inject the gas?
There is not.
What would be the next nearest location?
I'm going to have to let Cedric Line, who's a part of TCE, answer this because it's their transmission line.
I see.
So
I'm just curious.
Yep. I would not be the correct person to answer that. He could
It's
answer that.
okay.
When you're Cedric Klein, CC Energy Columbia.
Yes, sir.
When your question, you're talking about physical location we already have. That is that what you're asking?
Yes.
That would
yes.
be probably our Boswell compressor station here in Louisa County, 26 miles going towards Charlottesville. I don't know all the streets here, so that would be the closest facility, and then south of here would be Goochland Compressor Station, which is down near 288 in Goochland County, another 26, 30 miles from here. So those are our 2 closest physical locations.
All right. And this one is the Boswell one.
This is Louisa Compressor.
This is
We have
Louisa.
2 compressor stations in Louisa.
I see.
Yes, sir.
I see.
Yes, sir.
I see. Since we're, yeah. What's the distance between this one and the Boswell station?
About 26 miles. That's pretty much standard in between. I'm not sure the exact distance. That's a good guess.
I see. I see. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Painting.
For the applicant, if you would. Thank you, sir. Would it be possible to take this entrance east, to the east and come into the, get it out from in front of her house and bring that entrance in from the east, down Brick House? If it were to stay as it is, where it's right, looks like it's almost lined up right in front, her front door.
Yep.
Could you bring an entrance to the east and still get a tractor trailer in there? It looks like, is this a turnaround so he can pull the truck up and then back in?
That's correct.
Okay, so he could do this, have the same effect with that.
Yes.
And if you could, don't mind, help me understand this, on what I'm looking at here. Is there a structure here, a building?
The building, so that's an M&R station, yes, there'll be a building there.
The big square that I'm looking at?
Yes.
I'm looking at that and another one here. So that large.
Mind if I just?
Sure, that'd be great.
You're talking about this building right
Yes, sir,
here?
that is a structure.
Yeah,
there.
there's a
Okay.
structure within that space.
How large is that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's
That
a
would- what?
It's a small,
Yeah,
it's a small eight by 10.
Oh, and what is the rest of that square?
So you have, so this is like a whole space for all the different components. of
Is
the
it stone?
M&R
Is it gravel
Yeah,
lot?
stone,
Okay,
gravel.
okay.
And then down here would be the unloading station, so the trucks would come in, turn around back into here.
Okay.
And that would be the unloading.
So if you could stay right there, if you move that easterly, the entrance,
This way?
the entrance up
Oh, yeah.
off of Brick House,
Yep.
if you move that entrance to the east, yes, sir, and came in, you could still, you almost be doing a U-turn to get your truck backed in. Just a thought there. And also, can I continue, sir?
Please, yes.
Thank you. Is there any noise associated with the offloading of the gas?
There is.
Can you explain that to us, please?
It's roughly so right now you have a compressor station that's existing that makes noise. So we're actually less than that compressor station. So right now at the property line would be about 55 decibels, which is the sound of a car.
Is the truck idling the entire time?
It is not.
It is not.
No. Sorry.
My one concern I do have to alleviate the neighbor is the hours of operations. It doesn't concern me so much, just till it gets dark, wintertime, and those headlights would be right in her front door. We've got to figure out a way to adjust that. I certainly appreciate the added screening and forestry products that you put there. And I have one more. Oh, is it a tanker or is it a box truck?
It's a box truck.
Okay.
If you go, let me just.
Well, I saw the picture, but I'm
Yep.
picturing gas, and I'm picturing a tanker in my mind, but you showed me a picture of a box truck.
Yeah, so if I can find this thing, so inside the actual trailer, there's 4 cylinders that hold the compressed natural gas.
Now, is that something that the operator hooks up from the outside?
Yes, from the back of the trailer. As you can see in this picture. Sorry.
I see it now, got you.
Right there, that's
Yep.
the unloading.
And that's the back of the truck on the bottom picture here?
Correct.
And what would the estimated build-out time be to get this operational?
About 3 or 4 months.
Oh, it's pretty quick then.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dickerson.
one question. Under the conditions, waste disposal, at the end of the project, it says it's not to be disposed in the Louisa County landfill. Where's it going?
Is that party? Yep.
Just like with a solar farm, everything they could put on a piece of property?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
Well, they might actually be able to recycle
Right.
So that was just recommended tonight by the staff, so I'm looking at that for the first time.
All right. There's 5 words I really like added to that sentence and removed from Louisa County.
Go ahead, Mr. Dickerson. What would you like to add?
removed from Louisa County.
Where at?
At the end of, where it says Louisa County fill,
No,
landfill,
so it's in the,
and removed from Louisa County.
and will be removed from Louisa County.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Goodwin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I have a statement and a question. I'll ask my question first. All this is coming from one dairy farm in Amelia, as this is written up. Is this like a test case, or you have plans for expanding this operation beyond just one farm?
Not currently, and
Well, that doesn't tell me anything. Not currently. It means tomorrow I might.
so so we're building multiple of these projects all over the United States. The first one in Amelia County is in Amelia County in Virginia. We're looking at some other sites in Virginia, but not close by in other areas.
So this has no reasonable expectation to ever grow beyond what it is now with 2 trucks per day.
That's correct, but just to rehash, the 2 trucks a day, if we do not operate on Sunday, we will have to make up the extra 2 loads during the 6-day time period. Yeah, essentially it's 14 loads a week. So if we're only operating 6 days, we still need the 14 loads.
Just want to make sure that we're not, because we're already running, we haven't run this thing in the ground yet about how you're getting there. And if 2 trucks a day has got some concerns, that if this thing goes to 4 and 6 and whatever, because the project grows, then we really got a problem.
No, I understand that.
Say so. I don't know how we get an answer to that when you say not currently.
So one thing I would just add is the most projects we ever plan to build in the state that could ever deliver to this terminal would be 2. And so we don't know currently because we haven't done any due diligence on exactly where that second site will be. And so there is potential that it could come here. There's potential that it couldn't. We just don't know today.
There'll be a maximum of 4 trucks a day.
Correct, correct.
Can we put that in the language?
Yes, absolutely.
Can we do that, staff?
So they have to come back to a CUP.
We can add that to,
Well, however you want to do it, but I just want to put a cap on this to make sure no more than 4 trucks a day.
to and from.
Yes.
No, well, currently
Right.
it would be 4 trips
What
if
is
they're
it?
just doing 2 offloading operations
Kayla,
a
what does
day.
it currently say? Because
Well, we don't have any condition limiting how many trips. We just have a condition recommending the hours of operation.
Yeah.
why wouldn't we make it 2 trucks or 3 trucks a day minimum? Why would we make it 4? I mean, I'm just saying that he's saying that the most that he'll need is 3. Let's leave it at 3.
No, it was 4 deliveries per day would be the most we would ever
4
want to use the
deliveries,
station for.
2 farms.
2 currently planned. So 28 per week would be the most we would ever do on this station,
Is that per state regulation right now?
per state regulation, sorry.
You said earlier that
But if they can't
that's
do
what
it
they
on
can
No,
only
they're
do.
not.
We don't have to figure out the
5 or 6
language
on
now,
days.
but if you all can figure out what it is, I just don't want this thing growing to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and whatever, to put some sort of a cap. If he's saying there will never be more than 2 generators, then that's gonna put a cap on our end. If it's 2 for 1, then it's gonna be 4 for 2.
Yeah, well, the way we'd like to put it would be 28 per week. We would start with the 14 deliveries per week, which would be the 2 deliveries per day, and then potentially years down the road, we might add the second, we might not.
I understand that, however, that allows you to put 28 trucks on Brickhouse Road in one day. And that-
No, per week.
No,
Saying because that would allow you to figure
you
out.
can do it all in one day.
Yeah.
I see
Even
what
though
you're saying.
there's,
Yes, I
there's no
understand.
way that would ever be able to support
Right.
the station.
So
but I understand.
that was my scale question, and I hate to just leave it on you all, but I can't do this off the top of my head, but I do want to kind of put a top on this thing to make sure that we're not just, the door's wide open now. We got 10 more farms that just signed up
So a cap on an amount of how many trucks to the site per day.
per day. And I think what he is saying, it would be no more than 4 trips per day if the second generator ever comes online.
With a full 7-day per week operation.
Yeah, you all work that out.
Thank you.
You know where I'm going, just you all work it out. And this is the comment that I was going to make. It's not a question. Gentleman, there he is, said that there were 3 locations, Boswell Tavern, Goochland, and Brick House Road.
Yes, sir.
Without visiting the other sites or even familiar, it looks like you have chosen the worst of 3 in terms of access and safety. Can you speak to that? Because Boswell Tavern, I got interstates getting there, and I'm not going.
Walton, we call it Boswell Tavern Facility. I'm not exactly sure if that's a regional name.
Like I said, I haven't been there, and certainly
South
Goochland.
Walton Road there.
And Goochland has got primary roads radiating out of Richmond that is a lot closer to Amelia. I'm not trying to throw something away
I
from
will say
Louisa
the
County.
Goochland facility, there is no room there for anything else.
All right, let me finish saying what I'm saying before you start, because I can't hear you and speak at the same time, please. But Goochland's got a lot more major roads than we've got radiating from Richmond and a lot closer to Amelia. So just looking at the 3 options, it really looks like you've chosen the worst one.
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Mr. Quarles,
This process has changed several times. I would like to see them go back and refigure this and figure out what we can do. I don't really feel comfortable with these trailer trucks on this small road. And then there's a possibility of 4 trips, again, on this small road, and could be up to 7 days a week. I don't feel comfortable with that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'd like them to go back and refigure this and see how they can make it safer, because it just, I'm hearing windy, unmarked road, tractor trailers. That's not a good formula.
so,
My comment.
so Mr. Quarles, are you, as this is in your district, are you suggesting that you would like to hear if the applicant would like to postpone this for a month and work on it?
Deferred, yes.
Defer for a month?
Yes.
Would the applicant be willing to defer this for a month and work on this, or are you, do you prefer to go ahead and have the vote this evening?
We'd be willing to work on it.
Very well. Ms. Smith, do we need to have a vote on deferral, or if the applicant requests deferral, are we done?
You should go ahead and just vote on it, but I think, well,
Very good.
we'll just go ahead, just have it on the record.
Very good. All right. Then in that case, Mr. Quarles, the chair would be willing to entertain a motion for deferral.
I'm going to recommend that CUP 2025-04 be deferred, to give the applicant time to figure out some of the safer ways that we can egress and in this process with the vehicles and so forth, would be entrance ways, alternate, and to come back to us at a later time with a different plan.
I understand that you're making a motion to defer CUP 2025-04 to resolve the issues we brought up tonight
Correct.
until the July meeting.
Correct.
You will have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Ms. Johnson, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Painting?
Yes.
Mr. Dissisway?
Yes.
Mr. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Quarles?
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mr. Kersey?
Yes.
Very well. The motion for deferral is approved. And that completes the public hearings for June. Next item up is new business. I believe this would be a good time to make sure we have this in the record, and that would be Mr. Goodwin and Mr. Dickerson. I believe we had you all slated to work on the comprehensive plan update with staff. Are you still willing to do that?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
I am.
Very good. Thank you. Then I'm going to appoint you all to that, so we'll go ahead and make that official in the record. Any other new business? I'm not aware of any other new business that we have at this time. Very good. No discussion items for tonight. Move on to reports. Ms. Buckler.
Not a whole lot to report. I believe there are several applications slated for public hearing next month. As I indicated earlier, the Phase 3 ordinance amendments did go to public hearing with the board on June the 2nd. They were tabled for clarification on a couple of items that we've been working on. And that will be back on the board's agenda for this coming Monday, the 16th. I believe there are 2 towers, 2 cell towers for next month.
Yep.
And potentially everything that was at the neighborhood meeting yesterday, potentially on the July 10th agenda, the 2 towers, and potentially the conditional use permit for the data center.
Yes, July could be a long evening, but very good. Anything? Very good. Thank you, Ms. Buckler.
Yes, sir.
That completes reports. We have no announcements, so Chair would
I would
entertain
like to-
Mr. Quarles.
I would like to have the members and people listening that to keep the Barnes family in our thoughts and prayers. Recently, the supervisor lost his wife, and so if you would keep them in your prayers, that would be a good thing.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very good. Then the Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. We are adjourned.
Stay there. We have to worry about this stuff. Very appropriate.
Well, only.
So, Daddy.
Be by right. There's nothing we can do about it. That's right. Oh, what did I do wrong?
Okay. Mrs. Barnes' service is tomorrow.
Yes, at 1 o'clock.
I can't hear it.
Everyone wasn't aware
Yeah.
of the time of that.
Yeah, because there won't be many people attending.
No.
Oh, that place will be bulging.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Better get there
Yeah.
early.
Yeah, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Hang on, wait, before you do additional research, because Chris Kuhn sent this.
Said that
in
there is no
the meeting.
charge.
And
sir.
what it says, this will include CUP applications. it says, it's just a clip, division fees, all applicable applications, reviews, permits, inspections still required. Structures or projects to be used by religious organizations, there we go. Nonprofit or not for profit eligible to have permit fees waived.
Right.
So now, what it doesn't do is it doesn't remove the fee for advertising. That's the paper, and that's like $1,000.
And the mailer out to the.
Right.
So there are some fees. I
But
don't
if I
know.
was hiring our local attorney, Tory Williams, to represent me in the CUP, then it might cost me $5,000.
Well, if you're going to do that.
So it depends how they deriving their number.
No, wait a minute. I know where they're deriving the number from. Somebody said something. Because in our meeting, it says anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000.
Not mine. We never even talked about cost.
Yeah.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
But
You know who did it? You?
I said, the county's going to waive that.
Yeah.
So should we put that in the ordinance that the county waives it?
It's already there.
Is that what he was texting you?
Yeah, he was
It's already in
texting,
there?
yeah, it's already in here.
So we just gotta
That
point
the
that
county
out.
has the ability to waive that, yeah.
Or no, not the ability, should we put it in there that it is waived for? Make it a blanket.
This road is double line.
Well,
I wouldn't go there.
yeah.
My suggestion is to leave it out. The ordinance already says, or whatever that is, a regulation or a way,
They may waive, yeah.
that churches are waived. But this is not churches. This is anybody who does a humanitarian
That's right.
shelter. So if you come in as, Jim wants to open one on his property, guess what? Jim's gonna have to pay a fee.
I'm gonna be a short-term rental, and I can do whatever I want. Charge them a penny a
He's
day.
gonna
I've already
charge-
figured out my business model.
stay.
But that's what I'm saying, not the way you've written this, it's broad, it's not just churches.
Yeah.
Which is good, it should be.
Exactly. Otherwise, we're the exact opposite of what they're saying. They're saying that we are targeting churches, and what we're actually doing is not being biased toward churches. It's a general,
That's exactly right.
general ordinance.
Yeah.
I was just pulling your chain earlier tonight, I hope you know that.
Hey, she responds to me. I get a meeting face to face.
I did not get your message. I apologize.
Don't worry.
Coming out out by 8:57 next month.
No, well, it depends on what goes on.
You're gonna be doing a public hearing by 8:57.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I'm still not sure we're gonna hear from Amazon next month.
Still not sure
Oh,
what.
I tend
We're gonna
to,
hear from Amazon.
I tend to agree with you that they got a lot of work.
I think it's gonna be incredibly high.
Right,
discouraged
right,
condition
right.
they're in. Please,
So
do this whole
you'll note that,
neighborhood meeting
that,
again because you followed it up big time.
Well, I have a
how are
couple
you
of
doing? Oh, good to see you. What's that?
Whoa.
She says she's coming with a
Oh,
stocking hat
yeah.
next.
We gotta put a cap on that, we gotta, they're taking the same thing right
A
there.
little bit.
And it's probably gonna give
See,
them
my
$500.
brother was my brother was in the hospital at the same time.
Oh, was it?
And,
Gotcha.
anyway, he had all the summer thing, 'cause he was making chicken egg.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And had,
Have a good evening.
gallbladder removed.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
infection set in, he had to go,
I'm sorry I'm moving a little
Okay.
slow. I've
go to UVA.
got a little knee injury that, well, it's been
Susan had sort of a
since
summer.
last year, and I've just put it off and put it off, and so
what I
I'm have
understood, she
surgery
had
come August, but I'm trying to push through the summer
prior,
to
or
get
had
through
something else done and then ended up with
Yeah.
Good.
some of the stuff.
I don't know what it was.
Goes well.
Yes, sir.
Infections are easy to get.
Right.
So, a couple of things that I wanted to make sure. So we'll talk to them about the entrance location, so I've got that. And then the traffic, figuring out the traffic pattern.
Right.
And what I suggested to Kayla, and I think about this because the trade winds trucks used to always go by our house. And they would take that same route in or out. But yet they had 618 going both ways, that
Right.
they could have made a loop. So I'm sitting here going, why don't they come in one way and go out
the other.
go out
Yeah,
the other?
yeah.
So maybe come in Poindexter because it's a better road, it's a loaded truck, go out Brick House with an unloaded, wider,
He could come down Poindexter, but he's still gonna have to turn on Brick House
right,
to get past the gas line.
right.
He could do that.
Right, I'm just talking about the vehicle trips, so they're not all on
Right.
one road or
Right.
the other. And, split them, have a one-way in and a one-way out.
Right.
The only thing you could easily go down Poindexter with and just turn and come on Brick House and come into place.
Right.
That way most of the traffic's on Poindexter. The only thing I was addressing was your lady's house being
Right.
protected
Right.
across from. Just something you might give them a heads up because
I
if it
don't,
gets to us.
I don't really like that 7 days. I mean, I understand that you want a certain amount of trips, but that's not my problem.
Well, he could, and if y'all hold him to that, he can he can get the same number of loads. He'll just do, instead of 2 trips, 2 of the days he'll do
3
trips.
And the only problem with that, looking at it way up from higher altitude, who monitors whether he's doing 3 trips every day? See, that's the thing.
Yeah, every one of these things, the neighbors will do. That's typically the case. And they will follow up.
And what kind of enforcement will we have when we have to,
We'll send somebody out there to watch. I mean,
Yeah,
it's one of those
I
things
get
with
it.
conditions that, you try to put conditions on that are easily enforceable, but you're also trying to come up with conditions that, protect the neighborhood and meet the concerns. Casamano.
Casamano.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's what you said.
But
Kayla.
you can, this is a condition,
Use permit, right.
so, I don't know, and I asked, Tricia, George was worried about how you keep measurements straight. And it is a CUP for the whole thing.
Right.
But you can, I know we've done it, you can put another condition in there that any expansion of this requires, an amendment to the CUP. And that took care of what George was talking about.
Well, I like that.
And because that ended up a little bit different than what I had brought up was that they said it would be, when they said it would be required. And I said to word it that it may be required depending on the type of expansion, because, but if you all can recommend a condition that if they expanded past the one Amelia facility,
Okay.
and they added a second facility and went and wanted the 4 full or the 28 deliveries
Right.
a week, you all could put that as a condition, that if they
They have to come back.
they would have to come back.
Yeah, I like that. That tentatively put that down because I don't like the open.
George was saying that he was trying to do it, but we've done that before, you put another condition in there that does limit it to what you got
Right.
before you, or what you are willing for it to go to.
Expansion to receive from a second facility. to receive product. We'll come up with something, but that gives me some.
Originally, they weren't talking about 7 days a week. No, and they keep changing this, they keep changing. They've changed this, what, 3 times?
That
It
is
was
my
2 different
understanding, that
meetings,
it's.
and then they changed it once today.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, at that point, you know, and I get the expense of applications and that kind of stuff, but, you know, I expect more, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
Chris gave you a paper to look at?
He did.
Okay.
I'm gonna take it home and work.
Okay, I haven't looked at it. He,
Ryan's working tomorrow, I'm gonna read it.
So,
well, I'll be at work. He handed it to me as he was going out the door and I was coming in here, so I haven't had a chance to look at it, but after you get a
I think
chance.
it's fine, it's just when you start thinking about what is, or something like
Unfortunately, we'll never cover
that.
everything
No,
that's.
you cannot write a perfect ordinance if you do.
No.
The only way you write a perfect ordinance is say you can't do anything.
There you go. Or do away with it altogether.
right.
All right, give me a.
You wanna call me?
Mhm.
And I'll come in and we can
Yeah, we can do that.
chop it up a little bit.
We can chop.
Okay.
We can chop away.
All right, so, yeah, let me get through this, funeral processes, and I got 3 of them.
Oh, my.
So, yeah. A colleague of mine, long-term died, Barnes' wife, and a good friend in another business. I mean, yeah, so, yeah, it's
Well, I am sorry that you are having all of those.
Well,
They're never,
they just hitting 3s. I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. They're like, whoa, you know, so.
everything hits in the breeze.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, call me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see you.
We will get together.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right, bye-bye.
Show me in here. Yeah, chill. Well, I know what you like. I packed up the tomatoes and cucumbers. Do you want those tonight or are you gonna eat them tomorrow? I don't know if the tomatoes are gonna be great tomorrow.
I mean, I'm like, how many is it? It's not that many.
It's not, no, it's just in one to-go container, and you'll see the cucumbers. There's only one container of cucumbers, and it's with the onions.
Does anybody else want them? I mean, I don't.
No, nope, please take them, Linda, nobody's gonna eat them. I was so happy when Mr. Painting, he saw the other tray of cucumbers, the one without onions. It was about halfway, and he's like, I could eat that whole thing. I was like, me too. I was like, well, only one of us is going to tonight. Here you go. And he said, really? I said, please take it, yes. So he took some. He said he's gonna eat it on the way home. He didn't get dinner.
Yeah, he said he had a snack. He didn't mean anything. Lord, I done tried to roll the thing through the wide leg through the. Somebody keeps moving my table.
I don't know why.
This is she had said, I didn't touch it. I didn't do that. Okay. Is the food back there?
It's in the fridge.
In Arrow Lines?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna go send the other 2 to Alex because she. I'm gonna go send the other 2 to Alex.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, I better do it tonight. I was supposed to go see my mom today and I didn't get out. It was so weird. The baby was just, I don't even know how to describe it. I think I'm gonna, should I throw her water away? It's like Tom's stuff, 'cause he.
Where-
Oh, he's here.
Mhm.
All this is gonna be cut off. I don't know. I hope the recording's off.
Oh, it is. I did that on the in the back. All that's closed down.
Is that Tom's keyboard or what?
It is, yeah.
And I don't know what to do with this. How, does this go over here?
And it goes in there. But,
That's a
yeah,
clicker?
that's the clicker.
And this is his keyboard?
I think so. It's either his or.
Or does it go out here?
I'm not sure if he uses that or if it goes in there. Oh,
These are,
that's his. I'm not gonna touch anything because I don't know what he did and what he didn't do with the computer, and I don't want to mess it up.
oh, I set his computer right there on those
Okay, good.
papers. Maybe I should slide the paper so he sees it.
What do you got, Linda?
Hmm.
What do you got?
I just. Just arrange things I look like.
Mm-hmm. There's stuff. If there's chicken salad, green croissants, and she has, I think she's got it.
I don't know what I want. I'm scared of all of those things. See if you got.
Don't take it out from the
No, because if it's not good chicken salad, I won't eat it. Because I'm
I've heard
seriously,
that.
I'm seriously very, I'm a snob when it comes to chicken salad.
I kind of am too. You ever done a chicken salad chick? Ever done a chicken salad chick?
So I think, you know, and here's the thing, I purposely talked to Jim and the engineer, I said, we all know the reason why it's on Brick House. You came up, because you don't want to cross an acre to service.
Well, they're not gonna get an entrance off of Poindexter. It's too close to the intersection.
So they're gonna blame
And they
staff?
found out that they can cross the gas line easement.
So, yeah, so let's just blame staff. You know, oh, staff told us the Green Street District we're gonna avoid it. I have no